Okay, everybody ready? Yeah, Ben was just getting off the freeway, so we can start with our roll call and pledge and stuff, and he should be in here shortly. So it is 6:09. We'll open up the meeting. And Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Diedrich is on his way. Commissioner Long? Here. Commissioner Madrid?
Here.
Vice Chair Thomas?
Here.
And Chair Ledoux?
I'm here, and Ben's walking in right now.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Ben. Randy, do you want to lead us in the pledge?
Would I?
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Everyone, please join me, hand over your heart and begin.
Thanks, Randy. Okay, let's move along. So we don't have any presentations tonight on item number 4. We'll move on to item number 5, agenda approval or modifications. Are there any modifications to tonight's agenda?
There are none.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda, please? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. We'll move on to item number 6, public comments. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on items that are not on tonight's agenda?
There are none.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go to approval of the minutes. Can I ask the Planning Commission for approval of the November 8th, 2023 minutes? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Nothing on tonight's consent calendar, so we'll move straight into the item of the day, number 9.1. Could the Community Development Director please introduce this item?
Good evening, thank you. The item before you tonight will be presented by Senior Planner Brett Hamilton. Just a quick comment, he's been working with the applicant for almost about 2 years. It's been a long process and very involved, so I'll hand it over to Brett.
All right, thanks, Orlando. Good evening, Chair Ledoux, all members of the Planning Commission. Before us tonight, we have the Mott Business Center project. So there's 2 entitlements associated with it. We'll go into descriptions here in just a moment. The project's located in the northeast portion of the city, just off of the Ethonac Road, south of Ethonac Road, east of Dawson Road, west of Antelope Road. So it doesn't directly touch Ethonac Road. There are some properties that front along Ethonac that are not part of the project site. So the general plan and zoning for the project site is consistent. The project is located within the Menifee North specific plan. More specifically, it's part of Planning Area 2 of that specific plan, which is deemed industrial, which this project being proposed is consistent with. So as mentioned, there are 2 entitlements with the project. The first is the tentative parcel map. And so that proposes to combine 8 existing parcels into 1 parcel for the proposed project. So it's a little bit under 44 net acres total for the project site once you combine all of those 8 parcels. So the plot plan associated with the project is to construct 1 building with the total being 1,138,638 square feet. So that includes 10,000 square feet of office, 200,000 square feet of mezzanine, which is kind of like a second story level within the building, and then the remaining 928,638 square feet of warehouse footprint, and again on a 44-acre site. So included with that, the building height is approximately 50 feet structural height, and then there's 616 automobile parking spaces provided, 284 truck trailer parking spaces provided within the screened and walled truck court area, and then 128 dock doors split between the east side and west side of the building. So here's the layout of the project site. As you can see, those bay dock doors being on the east and west side, the truck court areas with the parking. So again, it's split up between 3 different types of uses. So you've got the warehouse portion, office portion, and mezzanine portion. Again, so the footprint being the 928, 638 plus the 10,000. So we've got additional plans that we'll go through here as far as landscaping and screening, but this just gives a real good general idea of the site layout and building footprint. So for parking and access, again, it was mentioned 616 automobile parking spaces provided. Required per the specific plan is 605. And then again, the 284 parking spaces, as you can see in the blue, that are within that truck court area that would have a screen wall and landscaping around. And there's 4 different driveways, 2 at the north end, 2 at the south end, so 2 driveways each on Dawson Road and Antelope Road. Both of the ones on the south end having full access for automobiles and trucks. And then on the north end, just due to the proximity of Ethanak Road and the intersections there at Dawson and Antelope, there's potential for the need to do some turning restrictions.
Excuse me, Brett, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. We just lost all of our screens, they just went black, so. Oh, Joe's good, but the rest of us lost our screens. So I sorry for
No, it's
interrupting
fine.
you. I think Joe put out a internet bomb for us. Sabotage. Oh, there we go. What about the presentation screens? This one? It's possible. Did I do that? I did that. Sorry, my fault, I suppose.
All right, so we're good. All right.
We're still working on Randy,
We
but
got
yeah.
one more, okay. We'll wait. That's good, everyone's taking blame, everyone's.
I guess my little control screen is a little touchy, so.
A little finicky. Hands off.
All right, I think you got the, he's got the presentation screen up, so we can go ahead.
Okay.
Brett, thank you.
So the way that the parking calculation was done per the specific plan, it's 1 parking space for every 2,000 square feet of warehouse area. Note that that does include the 200,000 square feet of mezzanine. We included that in parking area. And then 1 parking space per 300 square feet of the office area. So as far as landscaping goes, 4.42 acres of total landscaping on site, which is just over 10% of the project site being landscaped. And then just for reference, there's 551 trees that are surrounded throughout the site along the borders, the edges, to beautify and help screen the project site. And then on the next one, I think we've got some screening here. So on the top, we've got Dawson Road. So as you can see from Dawson Road, there's going to be there'll be a wider landscape setback area. There'll also be some berming just based on the topography and natural slope of the project. It slopes to the southwest. So because of that, there is going to be some additional landscape berm so that from the street, you would only see 8 foot of block wall, even though that wall will be 14 feet tall from the inside, but only 8 will be viewable from the outside. So it's the opposite condition on Antelope. The truck court will actually be set down lower than Antelope Road, so that screen wall, there won't be any landscape berming. There will be landscaping, just not any berming. And again, you'll only see the 8 foot tall screen wall so that we completely screen all of the trucks that would be potentially parked within that truck court area. This is a visual rendering. If you look at the top left there, there's that red arrow kind of indicating where this view would be taken from. So we'd be on Antelope Road facing south. And this is just to depict essentially the screening and the landscaping that would be provided and what you would be able to see as you're driving north and south on Antelope Road. And very similar landscape plant palette on Dawson Road as well. So as far as roadway improvements go for the project, it would be complete and full improvements, curb, gutter, sidewalk, and widening along the entire project frontage. And then there's also additional improvements from the project site to other roadways. So for example, as you know, Dawson Road is currently a dirt road, so there would need to be connection to the existing paved road of Ethonac, so there would be improvements as well from the project site to Ethonac Road. And then also on Antelope, the same thing, connecting all the way to Ethonac, but also a condition to connect south of the project site on Antelope Road, because as you also know that it's currently dirt now from about that RV storage center down to McLaughlin Road, where it then picks up again with paving. So again, just so we have paving all the way around. And then you'll see there's kind of some marks there at some of the intersections. There would be various improvements at different intersections that would be proposed, a traffic signal at Dawson Road as well, and then Ethonac being widened from its current configuration of 2 lanes, 1 lane each direction, widened from Dawson to Encanto to 4 lanes, 2 lanes each direction. Yeah. Sure.
I read in the staff report you're going to, like you just said, you're going to improve Ethernet. Are they putting, it said in there, curb, gutter, and sidewalk, are they doing both sides of the street, all the way up to, on Ethernet, all the way up to the freeway, or just the side? Commissioner, is your mic on for the benefit of people listening? Thank you.
So I was just asking if the Ethonac improvements, the sidewalk and gutter is on both sides of the street, or is it just on the southern side?
Yeah, so there's no proposed curb or sidewalk on Ethonac Road. It would just be the widening.
Just the widening, okay.
Yeah, and then when any other future projects that have that frontage, that would be a condition of them. I can go back,
I'm
that's
sorry,
fine.
can I, yes. I would like to ask you one question. On the Ethonac Road, between the 2 intersections, no blue lines. In other words, no improvement in the middle. Is that correct?
There, Commissioner Long, yes, there are some improvements within that area. From that area is just they're adding a 2-way left turn lane and some shoulder widening improvements. So, but everywhere else is 4 lanes completely.
Thank you.
So here's the proposed architecture of the building. There's a visual rendering that we'll show as well. Top one being the north elevation, so that's what would be most prominently visible from Ethonac. The south elevation, obviously at the south side, and then you've got both the east and west elevations. And the very bottom one would be the screen wall. So obviously in that east and west elevation, you wouldn't be able to see those dock doors. They would be screened from that screen wall. And again, the architectural elements on the screen wall would be carried throughout the entire length of it. And the screen wall is compatible with the architecture of the building to kind of help make everything compatible and flow together. And here's that visual rendering. Again, the red arrow that we have, this would be at the southwest corner of the building, kind of at one of the proposed office areas. Again, just kind of showing the landscaping that's proposed and the movement of the elevations, the different materials that are proposed, the glass, and just providing, kind of a good depiction. And we did, the landscaping that you would see here would probably be about around 5 years to get to the point that it's shown in this rendering. So everything that you see in blue here, that would be all the properties that received all of the public notices that we've sent out throughout this process. So the typical standard that we have is 300 feet, but in order to get a greater reach, since there's so many kind of large properties around there, we did increase that to 400 so that we could capture a greater number of property owners. Also, be able to outreach a little bit to the ones on the north side of Ethonac, so that everybody here would be aware of the project and be able to provide, input throughout the process. So jumping into the environmental for the project, the notice of preparation, that was one of the very first things that we did for this project. So that kicked off December 6, 2022, ran through January 16, 2023. We received comments. Those are provided in the draft DIR. Then we had a scoping meeting within that time frame. We had two different individuals attend that meeting and provide comment as well. So based on the environmental document that was prepared, there's mitigation measures for each of those following topics that you see: air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, geology and soils, greenhouse gas, hazards and hazardous materials, hydrology, and water quality. So in the MMRP, the Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program, you'll see all of those mitigation measures for those various categories. So as part of the EIR process, it was determined that greenhouse gas emissions would have a significant and unavoidable impact. So that was even after, applying all the feasible mitigation measures, different design and regulatory requirements from both the, local, state, federal. And it is important to note that 86% of those greenhouse gas emissions come from trucks and automobiles, which there's really, those are regulated and controlled by state and federal standards. So it's, after all the city has done, you still have these impacts. So with that being said, because there's a significant impact, there is the statement of overriding consideration for that significant and unavoidable impact. So essentially it compares, the project impacts, and then the statement of override basically talks about the different benefits that the project would be able to provide that outweigh the environmental impacts of that significant greenhouse gas emission. So some of those are obviously employment generating, the different circulation improvements that would be made, additional infrastructure that would be brought to the area to spur, additional improvement and investment in the city, the economic development benefits, and then having the project be a sustainable development. So when the draft DIR, that was sent out September 29th, 2023, for 45 days, went through to November 13th, 2023. We did receive 9 comment letters, as you can see listed here, and each one of those is responded to. That becomes part of the final EIR. So those were all the comment letters and responses to each of those comments were provided in the final EIR that you have. And then we've got the public hearing notice that was sent out for this meeting to indicate the availability of the final EIR, as well as notifying everybody of this public hearing tonight. That was sent out on December 3rd. And from the time that notice went out to today, we did receive 2 additional comment letters. One from Riverside County Flood Control, essentially just reiterating comments that they had provided before, not providing any new comments, just reiterating that they wanted those things to be complied with, standard regulations. And then we also did receive another letter from the city of Paris as well. And so from both the comment letters, staff's reviewed both of them, and there's no new or significant information provided that would warrant the need for any additional response or changes to the EIR. And so staff's recommendation, there's 2 resolutions. The first resolution is to certify the environmental impact report and then adopt the findings of fact and statement of overriding consideration and the MMRP. And then the second resolution is to approve the tentative parcel map and the plot plan for the proposed project. So that concludes staff's presentation. We're available for any questions you have, and we also have some of our CEQA consultant here, Kimley Horn, various folks that are here to help answer any more technical questions that you might have.
Great, thank you, Brett. Great presentation. Do we have some questions for staff at this point? Just for staff? Now, you guys asked a couple during the presentation that were concerns of mine as well. No other questions for
Yeah,
staff?
I have a question. Joe? I have a question for the Public Works Director. At the intersections, did you consider concrete rather than the structural section of the road to handle the truck movements?
That's a good question, Commissioner Madrid. We have, really it's a preference of having the concrete versus asphalt. You have some agencies will ask for the concrete and some agencies won't. It's not a city standard for the city of Menifee to have a concrete intersections. There is positives and negatives to both aspects. This area is not fully developed, so it's putting concrete at the intersections now would be very difficult for future development. Also, there's pushing and shoving where you have two blends of different material types. So, no, we really aren't recommending that at this point.
Okay, thanks for considering. I have another question. So what is the truck route? So we're coming off Ethonac, we've got both Dawson and Antelope, and we have the driveways at the very south of the project is, will the trucks ever continue southerly? They'll always
No,
come?
the trucks are not permitted to go past the southern SCE easements, which is just south of their properties.
Great.
So all trucks will go to the north to Ethonac and then directly to I-215.
Great, thanks, Nick.
Just on Dawson, though, right? Not on Antelope?
Antelope, these trucks will be going north as well.
Trucks will be using Dawson and Antelope.
Correct.
Joe?
Yes, just a follow-up question about truck traffic. Would McLaughlin Road be part of the truck route?
No trucks will be going south of the Southern Cal Edison easement on these particular projects. So McLaughlin is not a truck route.
So what if a truck missed making a turn? The truck would go to the next stop and would have to take a detour route.
That's a good question. There are trucks that will be going through the area but not associated with this project because their driveways will be aligned with Antelope or Dawson. But yeah, errant driver, I can't predict, but the goal is not to have them go south of that easement.
It would be much better if the McLaughlin Road be improved as part of the truck route.
We do have improvements on McLaughlin Road as part of some of these projects, but we do not want trucks down that far because there's residential directly adjacent to it.
Right. One more question. Along Ethernac, I understand there are a number of huge warehouses. Can you identify some of them on the east and west side of Highway 215?
Can we identify them? Maybe that's something.
So right now, there's just, as far as approved projects go,
Yes.
you've got directly west of this project site, you have a project called Menifee Commerce Center.
Yes.
So there's an approved building between Sherman and Dawson. That, I can't remember the number, I think it's about 1.2 million square feet. And then just to the west of that, between Trumbull and Sherman, is another smaller building, about 385,000 square feet. So in this area, that's really the only two buildings that have been approved by the city. You've got one a little bit further to the north, near the north end of the city on, Mapes and Sherman. So yeah, but that's not necessarily in this same general area. And then you have of course, to the east of this project site, you've got the Nova power bank facility that's currently under construction.
How about the Panatoni project?
So that project is further to it's on the west side of the freeway being proposed. So that one, we're still just working with the applicant. We're working on, working through the project, through the environmental impacts report, but there's, that would come before the planning commission if it does continue to move forward. All those other projects on the other side.
How big is that project, do you know?
That project is about 1.3 million square feet.
Okay. And then the capstone project? That's another project, right? Warehouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where is it located?
That is between, let's see, Geary and Wheat Street.
Excuse me, Joe, are these questions pertinent to this project, or are you leading somewhere where they're going to be relating to this project?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
And then-
So with the high number of concentration of warehouses in the same area, so I would, the air quality, the traffic would be a significant impact on the area.
So yeah, as part of the environmental impact report, they do a cumulative analysis. So basically, any project that has been approved or that is currently in process, all of that's taken into account for air quality impacts, greenhouse gas, traffic. So it is part of the environmental impact report. So we definitely do take into consideration not only those projects, but any other project within a 3-mile radius of the project site that could have impacts.
Yes.
Commissioner Long, if I can just add one more thing, that would also include projects outside the city's jurisdiction as well, if they're located within that radius area as well.
Another question for the street improvement on the Ethnic Road. My impression is the main road is going to be improved or widened based on the project related to that portion of the road. So it's going to be improved piecemeal, block by block, but not the whole, seems to not the whole road, not the whole network. Can you, if possible, give us some kind of deadlines for which portion to be completed for the whole area?
So again, for this project, I think I understand the question. So Ethonac would be widened to 4 lanes from Dawson to Encanto. So I think you're probably just talking about the portion, again, between Dawson and Antelope. That's the only portion along this stretch towards the freeway that wouldn't be improved as part of this project. So the reason that's not included, it's all part of the traffic study that was done and on the capacity of the roadway and whether or not it gets to a point where it starts causing issues with traffic. So based on, again, that cumulative analysis, it didn't warrant that. It meets a level of service that meets the capacity and demand that it would have. So the project wouldn't be responsible to complete that portion. And we don't have necessarily an idea of or a timeline on when that would be done either.
Thank you.
So I don't have the number, but I assume this project is paying DIF and other fees towards traffic mitigation, specifically to the on-ramp there at 215. So, and then there's those other warehouses to the west and east that are all contributing to that. So cumulatively, with all these warehouses going in, is it planned that the on-ramps at the 215 and Ethonac, are they going to add a lane, or is there some kind of improvements to effect for all this volume, or are they considered have sufficient capacity even with all these cumulative warehouses?
As part of the cumulative warehouses, there will be improvements to the on-ramp and to the overcrossing itself. The developer is doing multiple projects within the area. As part of those other projects, it does require adding some capacity to the northbound on-ramp. They will be doing some restriping and reconfigurations through the overcrossing as well. So yes, the developer, I believe, is intending to do most of that work in one single phase as he's coming through and doing the project, because it's the economy of scales as he's going out there and doing the work. He's going to try to do as much of it in one run as he can.
And will the improvements to the on-ramps there be, and off-ramp be, such as physically adding lanes or just restriping?
The on-ramp, he's adding some additional,
Lanes
capacity. Yeah.
But the
Over the bridge is restriping.
but there's no
yeah.
additional lanes on the bridge itself. Okay.
Well, so with that restriping, so obviously the same width of the bridge will remain, but right now, I believe it's just one lane each direction.
Okay.
So it has the capacity to be restriped to then have 2 lanes each
Oh,
direction across the bridge. Because right now, you'll know it kind of merges together, into a single lane. You either get on the freeway, or you continue straight, and so there'll be the 2 lanes across.
Okay, and is there any queuing planned for example, when they're going west on Ethonac from this project or the ones next to it adjacent? As they're coming towards the on-ramp, the northbound on-ramp, is there a queuing lane there for the trucks at all, or is it assuming they can all just make immediate turns? Because that light will stop, and I've been there, and it'll build up 5 or 6 cars, so I'd imagine the trucks are going to queue as well. In other words, are you going to add a lane for speed up or to queue to get on the on-ramp?
So the northbound
Yes.
I-2, so yeah, there would be, that's part of the one of the other projects, the Menifee Commerce Center. It does have a new right turn widening for right turns directly onto the freeway.
Okay, good deal.
So I just want to confirm, so you're saying, Brett, that the road is at its ultimate width?
No. So the ultimate width, so Ethonac is designated as an expressway. So this would just be to increase the capacity 2 lanes each direction. So the general plan for an expressway calls for 6 lanes, 3 lanes each direction.
So that's one of our CIP?
So yeah,
projects in the
that's
future?
probably something into the future.
You're correct. That would be a future project. Some of it would occur with natural development, as development occurs, similar to what's going to happen on the west side of I-215. Some of the projects that front Ethonac will be required to build those improvements. But yeah, it would either be a future CIP. County of Riverside is working also on a project. This ultimately, as Brett has stated, this is an expressway, which also would be the future alignment of 74.
Great.
It's quite a ways out there, but that is, the master plan is to include Ethonac as an expressway, ultimately a 74 alignment.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, no other questions for staff. Okay. Let's go ahead and open the public hearing. It is 6:42 p.m. Madam Clerk, was this hearing legally noticed?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and did we receive any correspondence?
Yes, you did. The copies of that are in your blue folders.
Okay, we got those, thank you. The applicant is here, yeah? Can I ask the applicant to join us at the podium? Can you introduce yourself for us, please?
Well, good evening, Chair and members of the Planning Commission. Yeah, my name is John Kelly. I'm with Core 5 Industrial Partners, and Core 5 is the property owner of Mott Business Center as well as the developer. So I'm going to try to keep it brief here, but first I just want to thank Mr. Brett Hamilton for his very thorough and very comprehensive presentation of Mott Business Center. Since Brett covered most of the building and site design features of Mott Business Center, I'm just going to kind of keep my presentation short and just really focus on the project attributes as well as the project benefits to the city of Menifee. All right. So the main project attribute to this, to Mott Business Center is the existing land use. It's zoned industrial, as well as the project location. So the land use, this site has been zoned industrial for many years, going back way before the city of Menifee was incorporated in 2008, when it was still part of the county. The industrial zoning, it makes a lot of sense for this area, right? Because it's close to the I-215 Mott Business Center. It's actually less than 1 mile from the interchange. So trucks can get on and off very quickly, employees as well, off the 215. The second reason it makes a lot of sense is, I'm not sure if you recall the site plan and the aerial, but there's a huge buffer, that 500-foot SCE transmission land, that strip of land. So it really separates the rural residential area from the industrial. So it's well laid out, well planned. In regards to the project benefits, there are two that stand out. First benefit for the city of Menifee, as well as for future tenants, is the strong labor base in the city of Menifee. Approximately 7% of Menifee working residents work in the logistics and transportation industry today. Most, unfortunately, have to commute outside the city. North Menifee area, as we all know, has been designated by the city as one of the employment areas within the city of Menifee. Mott Business Center, as well as Menifee Commerce Center, which Core 5 owns as well, that piece of land just to the west of Dawson. With all the properties we own, we're hoping to boost the employment opportunities in North Menifee. The other project benefit is Core 5's investment in the local infrastructure. So Core 5 will be investing over $20 million, just for this project, over $20 million in infrastructure, which will include street improvements, electrical distribution, water, sewer, recycled water, all those elements. Now, the $20 million of infrastructure cost does not include the $850,000 we're paying in school fees, as well as the $9.2 million in city and county fees, like the DIF. So in a couple years, I'm hoping that this area is going to transform into something really nice. This infrastructure improvements will bring more small local businesses, restaurants, shops, other types of development to this area, and increase the property values. So with that said, just that wraps up my presentation. Try to keep it short, here to answer any questions. As Brett said, I mean, all the consultants are here as well to answer you guys' questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kelly. I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
First question is, as they're written now, do you agree to all of the conditions of approval?
Yes, I do.
Okay, very good. The next question I wanted to ask is, this is going to be built just south of some homes that are right along Ethonac. Can you tell me about your outreach with the neighbors, specifically with the immediate adjacent neighbors?
You know what? I've spent a few days out there meeting with different people. One gentleman here is here tonight. Actually, two are here tonight. So the outreach is, I mean, their biggest concern really wasn't, our project. In fact, someone I met with today, he lives on the south side of Ethonac, abutting our project, and his comment was, fantastic, thank you. You're going to increase our property values, and that's the truth. But maybe the property owners maybe in the north side, I've heard a lot of comments that, hey, traffic is an issue. People are speeding on Ethonac Road. So I've taken the time to explain to them that, hey, we're going to have controlled intersections. We're going to put a signal at Dawson and Sherman, and it's going to slow down the traffic. So they were happy to hear that.
Okay, those were your biggest concerns?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
From those neighbors?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, any questions for the applicant, for you guys? Randy, go
I
ahead.
have one question,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly. What are the hours of operations for the trucks?
Unknown. I mean, it's,
Are there any hours that are open to?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the normal.
That is the normal, yeah. Yeah, it's very difficult to, there's one property up the road, in the city of Paris, that is, put some restrictions, some hours of restrictions on, and still's been vacant. So,
Right, thank you.
Do we have any restrictions on operation hours? No? Okay. Chris?
So you had mentioned infrastructure improvements. Did you have to bring any sewer or mains or water mains down Ethonac or anywhere significant that wasn't there other than next to your immediate property?
So there's sewer down Antelope that's gonna service
From
Mott
the
Business Center.
south or from the north?
It actually comes from, I want to think that, yeah, it comes actually from Ethanak and runs down Antelope to the south.
So you brought it from Ethanak
Wait.
down to your site?
It's already existing.
It's already existing,
Yeah.
okay. So that was there. I was just wondering what was there, not,
Yeah.
water, okay.
I think, so if I recall, there's water, a 12-inch line going down Antelope as well. We're putting a new water service line in down Dawson. Where for recycled water, we're putting actually a new line in. There's a big 16-inch existing recycled water line in Antelope. So we're actually connecting to that, and we're going to run that across our south property, across up Dawson, and to the west on Ethanak Road, and back down to Trumbull. It's yeah, quite a bit of work.
Joe, do you have a question for the applicant?
Yes, I have a question. The size of the warehouse is quite large. So I was a little concerned about the mixing of like food storage and pesticide storage being together in the same warehouse, or medical supplies. So it's a concern I have. Being just under one roof, same ventilation, circulation. So it's a concern I have. Another concern I have is the McLaughlin Road. I thought the McLaughlin Road would be kind of a connecting your whole project together. Now you are on one side, and on the other, Antelope and Dawson, and there's no connection between the two sides. Those are the two questions I have for now.
Yeah, we actually have very little traffic going south of our project. It's mostly autos, there's no trucks, as Nick pointed out. But there's, for the employees that are coming to the building, they will come up Dawson from McLaughlin, from Encanto to McLaughlin. That's one way. Or they might come up Antelope. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
McLaughlin's actually south of the SCE
South.
line too, so it's pretty far disconnected from the southern boundary of the property here. So
Right now, there's no road connecting the two sides. So
Right.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for an alternate way of connecting.
So part of our Menifee Commerce Center project, just to the west of Mott Business Center, yeah, we are conditioned to put in McLaughlin Road from Trumbull all the way over to Dawson.
One more question about the time, hours of operation. If there's no restriction, then trucks could be coming on Ethernet through residential areas in the middle of the night going to. So what kind of a noise level at the warehouse, if any, affecting nearby residential
Yeah,
areas?
it's a good question, but I don't know who the tenant is, right? So I'm speculating, but it's typically very minimal. You don't see too many 24/7 operations out there, but they want to have that flexibility. What we do have is, one, as I mentioned before, is the proximity of Mott Business Center to the interchange is less than a mile, right? And that, as Brett pointed out, the Ethanak Road is an expressway, all right? There's not a lot of homes, at least on the south side, not a lot of homes on Ethanak Road. There's quite a few businesses, especially the ones that abut the north end of Mott Business Center.
Thank you.
one of the things that I would like for you to consider is the northern boundary of the property. It abuts those residential houses. It's right there, right? We're going to be building this building in their backyard.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be some landscaping and some buffering there. I wonder if you would consider installing more mature, taller trees at the beginning to help mitigate or buffer the visual
Yeah.
aspect of the building versus the homes. I know there's going to be plants and trees there anyway, but I wonder if you'd consider installing more mature trees at the beginning to kind of
Sure.
you know,
Like a
offset that.
24-inch box,
I'm sorry?
like a 24-inch
I
box.
think we talked about maybe 36.
Yeah,
Is that something that we can discuss?
okay.
Something where, you know, obviously it's going to take quite a few years for these trees to grow and actually be a visual buffer.
Yeah.
Can we do something more?
Yeah, I
for
think we
those
can.
residents.
I mean, I think what we need to be more concerned with is really the width of the tree versus really the height of it, right? So we just need to be very selective in the type of tree we pick.
Okay.
Whether it's 24, 30, 36-inch box, not gonna make a big difference, a couple feet, but I understand your point.
That's
Absolutely.
kind of what I'd like you to look at and consider.
I'm not sure if you picked up on in Brett's presentation, but we have 551 trees.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so.
I did. Okay.
So do
Any
we
other
want- do we
questions
want
for the
the
applicant?
Madam City Clerk to put that on record?
If you guys agree, I mean, it's something we can talk about after, when we get back to our
Okay.
portion of it.
Okay.
But I just wanted to throw that out there.
My name is Jonathan Charblow. I actually worked with your planning staff on the Good Neighbor guidelines that you came out with, which talk about the type of trees, the type of, screening, distance. And I worked in other cities as well with Good Neighbor policies. And depending on the type of the tree, if you do a 36-inch box tree, it doesn't have the time to really root. And so what usually happens, you guys have bad winds. We have, throughout the Inland Empire, there's bad winds. And so planting a tree that's too big, it just topples over pretty quick, depending on the type of species. So usually when this type of topic comes up, obviously we're going to abide by the Good Neighbor guidelines. But I think we need to have a little bit of flexibility when we're choosing which type of tree. Obviously, we have a landscape plan, and so to the extent we could put a 36-inch box tree, if it's like let's just say if I'm not a tree guy, I try to pretend, but like if it's a fern, right? Like it's something but it's something with a big canopy. You don't want to plant too big.
I understand.
And then if you say 24, 36, you just have people putting in a 24-inch tree in a 36-inch box.
Okay.
So it's a condition. If it's conditioned, it kind of has the opposite effect. It could have, it could just have a bad impact depending on the tree. So we'd like some flexibility, but I'm sure that John would commit to, doing all that we can.
Okay. I'm not a tree guy either, or a plant person, arborist, you said? I just want to throw it out there that if we, talk about it and it becomes something that we agree that you should consider, that, you would work it out with planning, with maybe with an arborist, I don't know, but somebody that's smarter than I am to figure out that, all I'm thinking about is the neighbors nearby. They're about to be in the shadow of this giant building, right? And that's where I'm going with this. And I think you understand, it sounds like you understand that. If you could work with our planning team to mitigate that some way or other, I would appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Can I ask one other question?
Yeah.
So in regards to relation to his question to the neighbors immediately to the north, it might be a question for staff. What about the light pollution as far as, I know, I'm looking at some of the other warehouses that are going in along the 215, and a lot of them are putting in these really strong LED poles, LED lights. And so has the light design been to point the light away from the residents?
Yeah, everything will be shielded.
Shielded,
Yeah.
okay.
And I mean, we can work through this issue with planning, but one thing that Core 5's done in the past is we put everything on a lighting management system, which is on sensors, so they only activate if there's any movement.
Oh, okay.
It's something, I'm not sure if that's a city policy or police, that's really more of a police department question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me take your tree question over to Brett. Brett, didn't you address this with the line of sight screen wall?
So I think that would be more for the east and west side.
So why
think
not
we're-
on the north side?
Well, so there is a line of trees as well on the north side. I
Okay.
think the question is just whether or not, the species that's being proposed would provide the amount of screening to the neighboring properties. So that's definitely something that, we do have a landscape architect that prepared the plans by the applicant, and also on the city side, a landscape architect that reviewed and took those things into consideration when choosing the plant species and types and size.
All right, thanks, Brett.
Was there any attempt to acquire those properties north of the property, to take your project up to Ethanek?
Well, I mean, when we did Menifee Commerce Center, we did look at acquiring the properties all the way up to Ethanek, not on this property, or not from our business center. So, and I think it's zoned business park, right? Yeah. So, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, Joe.
One more question.
Yes.
I understand that you don't know the tenants to be yet. So we don't know whether the facility is going to be used for purely storage or final assembly or supply chain processing.
We really don't. I mean, what we designed it for, and that's why we put in the 200,000 square foot of mezzanine, or at least the square footage portion of it is for like an e-commerce, a point of sale type tenant.
Because
That would be ideal for all of us, right? But so but at this point we don't know.
because the job opportunities, once the facility is completed, for warehouse and job would be mostly labor jobs. However, if you include logistics or supply chain, then it requires skilled laborers, high-paying jobs. So as we know it today, it's purely warehousing, offering labor, low-wage job opportunities.
Yeah, but I mean, that varies as well, right? I mean, yeah, you do have some forklift operators are making 35 to 38,000 a year, and then you have more skilled type laborers, as well as you have IT, you have office personnel. So it really depends. But I think what the inquiries we've received from brokers in the last, not really on this project, but on our other project in the past couple months, have been from Fortune 500 companies. And I think we all know what the trend is. The trend, whether this Mott Business Center gets leased day one to a high-end user, I think that what we're seeing is it's going to be a big Fortune 500 company, very reputable company that probably leases this building. And at some point, whether it's now or in 10 years, it will be used, or at least a portion of it will be used for e-commerce. So, which will require, it requires the facilities managers, which get paid $80,000 to $110,000, right, to maintain and operate these conveyor belts and these sorters and all this, the material handling systems inside the building.
The concern I have is the robotic operation, autonomous operation taking over warehousing operation. There might be job loss with the implementation of robotic operation. So that's the job prospect for warehousing could be affected.
It could, you're absolutely right, and I don't think we understand the future of that. I mean, we thought that was, obviously Amazon was pushing hard for that, but I mean, you look at an Amazon facility, right, that they do have robotics. I mean, they're still employing anywhere from 600 to 1,200 employees for a building this size. And then most of those are high-paying jobs, right? Most of those are facilities managers or IT managers maintaining these systems.
Okay. Another concern I have is the, somehow I've read on a number of reports, the high level of on-the-job injuries related to warehousing jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something we should be concerned about?
It's a good question. I don't have an answer for you on that.
Thank you.
All right, we good? Any other questions for the applicant?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on this item?
Yes, I have 2 requests to speak. I have Juan Serrato, followed by Patricia Brenz.
Okay. Sir.
Hello, good evening. My name is Juan Serrato, and I'm a member of the Laborers International Union of North America, and I'm here in full support of this project. If you approve this project will be extremely beneficial for the community and for union workers like myself. This project will keep our highly skilled and trained local members, and not to mention our apprentices, working. We have a state-recognized apprenticeship program that trains our apprentices on every scope of labor's work. I strongly support this project and ask you to approve. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Patricia Bruns.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Planning Commissioners. My name is Patricia Brenes. I'm the Planning Manager in the Development Services Department of the City of Paris. On behalf of the City of Paris, I'm here to object to the approval of this project, as the city believes the analysis of potential traffic safety impacts along Ethernet corridor from this project and other approved and anticipated large warehouses have not been adequately analyzed in the EIR prepared for this project. Furthermore, the proposed mitigation measures included in the EIR related to traffic do not adequately mitigate these traffic safety impacts. Today, the city submitted a letter to the commission objecting to this project based upon the city's concerns about traffic safety, and I have brought additional copies of this letter for the members of the commission in the event that you don't have a copy of the letter. But I respectfully request that this letter be included in the administrative record for this project, and I thank you for your time and consideration of our comments.
Thank you, ma'am. We do have a letter, the letter in our folders. Thank you. Any other requests to speak? Just in time.
Good to talk to you tonight. I'm one of the property owners. I own the property at the south end of the property of the development.
Can I get your name, sir?
My name is John Gentilon.
Thanks, John.
I've had that property for probably 16 years. And with the improvements going in down Ethernet, it'll take that dust problem that everybody's had in the whole area for such a long time. We've also put that power plant behind that property a long time ago. So for getting the infrastructure they're going to put into the city, I believe this is going to super improve our own better side of life for all of us in the area, along with jobs. And the AQMD issue with that dirt road going down the roads in that whole area are really bad when the wind goes. So it will improve the environmental stability of the area and also clean it up, honestly. I've had to deal with a lot of homeless people in the area. All sorts of different things are going on. And I know that they're planning to take care of taking Dawson Road completely all the way through, which will be great in their next project, and I stand behind that also. Thank you for your time.
Great perspective. Thank you, sir. One last chance. Any other requests to speak? Okay. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. It is 7:07 p.m. So this is our time. Now, let me start by asking staff. We did get a letter in our folder from the City of Paris, and it addresses some concerns as brought up by the madam. Did the city respond to the City of Paris's concerns?
So yeah, we did have the traffic engineer with Kimley Horn. They did provide some responses to us to basically, talk about the comments that were arisen, talking about, whether or not, they felt like everything was addressed in the final EIR. And so there really wasn't any new responses that we had in addition to what has been provided in the final EIR. So one of the big things about the environmental impact reports and CEQA is, when you're talking about traffic impacts, traffic per CEQA isn't an environmental impact. It's, it has converted and changed into vehicle miles traveled. So as long as there's not a VMT issue, then level of service and traffic is not a CEQA impact. So the responses that have been provided, we feel are adequate to address the comments that have been made.
Well, thank you for answering. I know I'm not a professional with that kind of thing. We trust that you guys are up to the latest with the standards and feel comfortable. So just so I'm clear, you feel like you adequately addressed all of the City of Paris's questions and concerns, and that's not something that we, as the commission, need to be concerned about?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, then on to questions and comments amongst ourselves about this project. Anything to say? Ben, Randy? Okay, Joe? Can you turn your mic on?
My concern is about the high concentration of warehouses in the same area. That would lead to air pollution with trucks being concentrated in one local area. And we understand that Riverside as a county has a high level of asthma, of air pollution, with the high concentration of trucks being in a narrow area. That would increase the effects on nearby residents.
Chair Ledoux, if I can ask, I'm sorry, Commissioner Long, if we're done with public comments and we're going to start, deliberating and discussing the project, it's appropriate to close. Did we close the public hearing? Thank you, sorry.
Joe, I happen to agree with you. My question is, do you feel like the city, do you feel like the environmental impact report has adequately addressed those concerns, and the staff is in support of the project in light of that?
No, I don't think we have provided sufficient measure to alleviate those problems.
So you're not in favor of the project because of that reason?
I have many other issues with the project. Another issue that I have is being a warehouse, there's no purely warehouse storage. There's no value added to any products. In other words, there will not be any tax revenue for our local city sales tax. Product coming in, product going out. So there's no ongoing revenue coming from products circulation because no sales. That's another concern. And but the most important concern I have is the job prospect for warehousing. Right now, we don't know. It's going to be just purely a warehouse storage, or final assembly, or supply chain processing. Each level of labor skill would greatly improve employment opportunity. Right now, we are being told it's purely storage. So that's pretty much at the bottom of the wage scale. I understand.
Is that what they're saying, or are they saying that they don't know what their tenants are going to be yet? So
they don't know. So we are just taking the assumption of the most, we are just using their not knowing as an assumption of the basic operation.
Okay. I think to that I would just reply that the zoning allows for this type of development. We don't know who the tenants are going to be, but the zoning allows for this particular development, right? So there might not be any legal basis for us to deny the project based on that particular point. I know you have other points too. We're just having a conversation here.
Chair, if I can just make a couple of comments to respond to Commissioner Long's comments.
You
as
can,
well.
but just so you know, we did close the public hearing.
Thank you. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, A couple of things. Obviously, the project is located within an approved specific plan, right? The specific plan does have a list of permitted uses that obviously gives the property owner the right to develop and occupy these uses based on the permitted uses listed on the specific plan. There are other uses that also require a CUP approval, for instance, and if that's the case, because of certain characteristics of that use, then that project would be required to come back for planning commission approval, and then at that point it will be analyzed to see if there's any additional impacts that that project may have on the area, right? Along with the staff report, some of the attachments include findings for approval that specifically identify the reasons why staff is in support, right? So if you look at those findings, it will give you the justifications as to why staff believes this project is not only in conformance with the general plan, but the specific plan as well.
I agree. I think Joe has some concerns and maybe doesn't agree with some of the things, and that's his prerogative, so that's fine. Did you have anything else you wanted to discuss just amongst us before we?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to further elaborate on my goal. My goal is to improve, to bring more benefit to our city of Menifee, more economic opportunities, more job opportunities. And for this particular project, I don't see better job opportunity. Right now in the Riverside County as a whole, the most popular job is warehousing, moving, 125,000. That's a huge number. It goes two ways. Either we're going to expand that number or we're going to improve the number. I'm hoping that we can improve the number, the skill level higher, so that more higher wage would come to Riverside County, Menifee City. And for this project, either we're gonna add a condition for final assembly or for logistics supplies operation, so that we can offer better jobs. Right now, jobs for warehousing is actually, because of the technology, because of the robotic operation, it's actually being reduced by the technology. That's my concern. And another concern that I have, it might be beyond our scope of consideration, is the high level of on-the-job injuries for warehousing workers. Somehow, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the highest level of injury is with the moving industry, warehousing industry, and there are no solutions for those kind of things.
Yeah, I don't know if that is within the scope of our decision making. So.
Chair, yes. So I do want to just remind the commission that while it is important to consider, you know, what might go in there, your job as a planning and land use body is to determine the consistency with land use, zoning, you know, architectural plans, design, and things like that. If you do make a finding to deny this project, we would like, you know, additional time for the staff to actually provide that information and even state it on the record, because again, this is not an economic development commission or committee, and the use of a warehouse is allowed in this area, in this zone, and there's no limitation, as far as I understand it, to what type of manufacturing. That would be the prerogative of the city council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my apologies, one last thing. It is totally within the commission's, you know, prerogative to think about issues such as potential harms, dangers, injuries, and whatnot, but I do want to caution the commission not to make assumptions based on general statistics, because here in a quasi-judicial hearing, you are looking at the record, you're looking at the project before you, what's being recommended, as well as what's in the staff report. Thank you.
Understood, thank you.
You done? Okay.
Yeah, good, yeah, Chris.
So I will mirror his, I understand your concerns, and I am for the project. I'm going to vote yes for the project. But I will mirror your concerns, and we've had this discussion as a city of where's the appropriate zoning and land use for a warehouse in the city. So all the concerns that you just mentioned, I have. But those decisions were made by establishing the zoning and land use on the general plan, and it is a permitted use. So they're in conformity with that, but I will mirror your concerns, and we can have some more discussions on that. We have fought this, the placement of these warehouses in other locations of the city for those very reasons. So I just want you to know you're not alone in that. But I am for the project based on the improvements that are being done, and that it is appropriate. The city has made a policy decision that it is appropriate for them to be located in that portion of the city.
I agree, well said, thank you. Yeah. I didn't even get a chance to say that I like the way the building looks, it's beautiful. I forgot to mention that, it's a nice looking building, so. Anything else to add?
No, I agree. It is a nice looking building, similar to the previously approved project to the west, right? And so I liked it then, and I like it now. Again, I don't think it's not in our purview right now to say whether I want a warehouse there or don't want a warehouse there, right? So that's not even what I'm factoring in tonight in my analysis.
Okay.
The developments that are going in that are going to improve the city are worthwhile. It's a great looking building. It is a permitted use there, so I'm in favor of the project.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to add on to what City Attorney said. I look at the staff's report objectively. It doesn't matter how I feel, it's what the facts are. So that's why I vote how I vote. Okay, thank you.
All right, have we satisfied everybody's questions and concerns? Okay. All right, good. Did we close the public? Okay. I did. I can have the Madam Clerk read it back on the record if you'd like. There are 2 resolutions for adoption. We need a motion and a second to adopt these resolutions per staff recommendations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Randy, thank you. I'll second. Oh. I think Randy motioned and I seconded. Rach.
Sorry about that. I'll
That's okay.
correct that.
Okay, that passes 4-1. Whoa, that disappeared fast. That passed 4-1. Thank you. And are we the final say on this? Or does it go to council? Oh, wow.
This is a planning commission decision.
Shoot, I should have asked that question earlier. Well, congratulations. We look forward to having a nice, beautiful project in the city. And congratulations. We're going to move on with our exciting meeting. If you guys want to take off, I'll give you 30 seconds. You're going to miss some riveting stuff, but I understand. Yeah, they always laugh when I say that, but. No, we just.
Is that one motion for both
Did we need
items?
to?
Yes, you
You-
can
I mean,
do
you
that, and
motioned
you
it.
did. You specifically stated staff's recommendation, so we took it as both.
You motioned it. All right, well, they're gonna miss out. No, item number 10, moving along, no discussion items. Item number 11, the Community Development Director comments. Orlando, do you have some stuff for us tonight?
A couple of things. First, we did announce last meeting that obviously the restaurant across the street was going to open. As you know, it's open, and actually we were expecting traffic to be a little bit more complicated, and it hasn't been. So it's been managed very well so
That's
far.
fantastic planning.
And I think when Mr. Hamilton assisted the developer in designing the project, he made sure that we had a pretty significant drive-through lane that would help us not have any traffic issues on the street. So I think it's proven that it did work. Second, just to let you know, obviously this is the last meeting of the year, so we just want to wish the commission happy and safe holidays. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Popeyes is open too, right? That's the one you were talking about? I have a question. Where is Cheryl? That's not my real question. My real question would be for Cheryl, but it's okay, Ty. You don't have to scold me. I withdraw the statement. Question. The last time we talked about Krikorian, we were going back and forth, plan check and approvals, and now I've read that we're maybe approaching legally for asking him to tear down the theater building and the 2 retail buildings out front. Is that where we're at? Can you tell us where we're at with Krikorian?
Unfortunately, I know there's been communication as of the last week or so. I was not part of those conversations, so I don't have the latest. So I would defer this, hopefully, delay the answer to this question to the next meeting when our community development director is present. So
I will make sure to follow up.
We do, just so you know, we do have information on our website, and I think that information is updated specific to the theater. So
that was a good Q&A thing that the city put up.
Yeah,
for
so that may give you some information.
Yeah, that was great. I guess I was more focusing on the retail buildings because we thought they were going to move forward with those, and now my understanding is they're not, or not, at least not right now. So, any questions for our deputy? No? No? Okay. Thank you, sir. Moving on to commissioner reports on committee activities. Do we have any?
We have the Citizen of the Year coming up in January, a meeting. Right, Joe?
With MCAC?
Yeah, with MCAC.
Have you guys had a meeting? The MCAC?
One.
This is the time to report on it.
Oh, no, that was
No, have you had a
a
meeting?
couple of months ago, yeah.
Oh, I don't think I've heard any reporting on that meeting.
Yeah, it was just.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was nothing.
Okay. Any
So-
future agenda item requests? Chris, are we disturbing you?
Is there a way to recall a chair? I wasn't sure about that.
Well,
but,
Orlando said tonight's my last meeting, so.
Oh, so you're just letting it fly tonight? Oh, okay.
Is that a future agenda item?
Is that a future agenda item? Ouch. Okay, it's 7:27. This meeting is adjourned.